Hello Booktube, I'm Scott.
I'm Nelle.
We are Gunpowder, Fiction and Plot, and we're going to be discussing a book haul today.
It's a huge book haul. I just want to say one of the reasons why we sort of haul every single book and make a point of, we'll even get to the point of counting my audiobooks and that sort of thing, is because of my representative reading project. About 8 months ago, I decided to address the demographics of the authors in my TBR by hauling only books from written by people of colour or queer authors for the next 100 books. So part of what we're going to be doing in this haul is counting where I'm up to in that 100 books, and if I purchase any books outside of those stipulations, I have to take a penalty of an extra 2 books added to my tally. So that's part of what we're doing today. So this is a big haul because I have bought a lot of books.
It is a monster haul, isn't it?
It is a monster.
It's also gone on for a bit too long. Also, if you have been a subscriber for a little while, you will remember maybe you won't because who does, but you might remember the Trash My TBR video we did in, I think, November.
No, I think it was December. I think it was the start of Vlogmas, but who knows?
It was November because I looked it up. Anyway, we asked for... We both listed 8 books and asked for you to trash those books and tell us why they were rubbish. And now we'll see whether we listen to you or not by responding to the books that we hold then. And if you're not new here, if you're not an old subscriber, you're new here, hello, welcome.
Also, we're not committing plant cruelty. We have just watered that plant, just so you know.
Yeah.
Because it looks so sad.
It's learned its lesson. It can have water now.
It does look like it's been tortured.
All right, Nelle. Now, the first book on your Trash My TBR was a book called The Little Axe. Did you haul it?
I didn't, and it wasn't because anyone trash talked it. It was actually because it was super expensive. So I decided only to purchase as many books as Scott did, because a lot of my books no one had ever heard of. So we went purchase for purchase, and I think we ended up with 4 each.
Well, the first one on my list was Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi.
So he got that.
As you can tell, I purchased it. Nobody was brave enough to pick on this book, possibly because Kieran was in the comments.
Threatening everyone with...
No, he didn't threaten anybody. He
was well behaved.
He was well behaved. If you've seen my February TBR, you'll have known that I hold that book because it is a book I plan to read this month.
Yeah, so the next one that I wanted everyone's opinion on was Breasts and Eggs, and most people just were of the opinion I should read it and tell them whether it was any good.
And I have read this book. Well, I haven't read this book. I have DNF'd this book.
Oh.
Since I've hauled it. Because
it's been a while.
And I imagine we'll have a wrap out on the weekend, and I will tell you why I DNF'd it. But I think this book is a little bit controversial. So we'll discuss that on the weekend.
We'll see. Yeah. So your next one was Station 11?
You sure it was Station 11 and not The Glass Hotel?
Oh, it was totally The Glass Hotel, but you've written Station 11 on this list.
Yeah, I have. So it's The Glass Hotel, not Station 11. And I didn't haul this book, even though it's in my hands. Now take it away.
Yeah, he was lucky.
The reason Station 11 is on my list is because... Sorry, our dog is deciding it's a good idea to play outside the hallway and kill stuff. So if you can hear weird stuff, that's what's going on.
It's just a poochie.
The reason I didn't haul The Glass Hotel is because I went through my list of audiobooks that I have already purchased, which is rather large, and
And you already had
I
Station
already
11.
had Station 11. So I decided, don't double up on authors that I haven't read yet.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Good luck reading that.
It's The Dream of Ding Village was the next one, and I decided not to purchase The Dream of Ding Village because I couldn't find a copy.
Wow.
Yeah.
The next one is The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield that I wanted to get your opinions on. I said that I was not entirely sure of Diane Setterfield after reading Once Upon a River. I said that I didn't enjoy it, but that I was quite ill when I read it, and that I thought that when I get tired or when I get sick, my IQ drops about 90 points, and
That's an underestimate.
that's an underestimate. My brain really requires adequate sleep and not to be sick, and I just could not deal with Once Upon a River when I read that, and I said that, and people said don't read The 13th Tale in general, and I'm still not sure whether to call that the illness or the writing style, to be honest. So I'm very...
You're unsatisfied with with kicking that off your TBR, aren't you?
I'm very unsatisfied with my opinion on Diane Setterfield because of...
Yeah, okay.
I feel like... Yeah. Anyway, I didn't buy it in the end. I honestly, I feel like I probably have enough straight white people on my TBR, and I should only buy the ones that I really want.
Yeah. On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous. I did get. This is my new copy of On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous.
Do you know what's really good about this book now? Today, the Invisible Cities hosts announced the April countries.
Yeah, and this fits for Vietnam.
It fits for Vietnam.
Can I?
The next book I wanted all of your opinion of was Hamnet. And
No one said bad things about Hamnet.
in fact, I think people were threatened on pain of...
That was the one people were getting violent about.
Yeah, there was definitely some violence threatened towards anybody. I should look it up and see exactly what was said, but definitely violence towards people who are naysayers on Hamnet. Just so many good things about this on Booktube. I'm sure all of Booktube knows about it.
The Tiger Flu was the next on my list, and I did not haul a copy of The Tiger Flu. And your next one is Zami.
By Audre Lorde. And I did haul it because I did. I don't know much about it, to be honest, other than Audre Lorde, black feminist.
The Price of Salt was my next one, by Patricia Highsmith. And this is a queer book to add to my collection.
The next one on my list is The Romance of a Shop by Amy Levy. I have actually hauled that book, but I do not have that yet. It has not arrived yet.
Really?
So, no, it wasn't available when we
did the initial.
When we did the initial, and I bought it from a different. And I actually thought that I had bought it because I intended it anyway.
Yeah.
It's not the postage system being rubbish. It is me thinking I bought it and then realizing I hadn't, and now I have bought it, but it hasn't arrived.
The next one is Heart, which comes in a bind up with another title, which I can't actually read in your handwriting.
The Normal.
Is that what that says?
Yeah.
Which I chose not to purchase.
Brown Woman, Brown Stone, by Paulie Marshall, another black woman classic that I decided to read.
And my last one was More Than This by Patrick Ness, which I have had very conflicting thoughts about since I've pulled it.
And if there was a book that was trashed out of all the books, it was this one.
Yes, but in such a way that made me absolutely rebel against everyone who told me not to read it.
So if you want Nelle to read a book...
Tell me not to.
Yeah, I think...
But that said, I haven't actually read it yet. It's just on my shelf.
To be honest, when I give a book 5 stars, you go, oh, I might want to read that. But when I give a book 1 star, you go, you definitely want to read that.
Really interested in Breast and Eggs right now because you DNF'd it.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be interested after I tell you why, to be honest.
Okay.
The last book that was on my list was The Republic by Plato. That's not The Republic by Plato. That's The Laws by Plato. And that is a book that I didn't haul. We had a copy. I actually bought this about 20 years ago and have never read it. Good intentions, no follow through, does describe me just in general, to be honest. I forgot that I owned this. And why would I buy one Plato when I have another?
Well, that's a good theory, I guess.
Like don't buy 2 books from the one author if you
haven't read
especially when it's somebody so old like Plato. I just may not get along.
I think it's really silly, and I've done it before, but it's really silly to haul, great parts of someone's back catalogue when you haven't even tested out whether you're happy with their style.
Yeah, that's it. All right, now.
Okay, so the next little section that I want to go through are all books that I have intentionally hauled for the Invisible Cities readathon. I am treating the Invisible Cities readathon as an opportunity to add books to my TBR based on the monthly challenges. I will attempt to read the books from the cities in the correct months, but I am such a mood reader and I'm not a super fast reader, so if I don't get to them, I'm not beating myself up. That's the way I'm going.
It's a whole process, not a reading process.
That's how it works for me. Yeah, I feel like that is... Once it's on my TBR, I will get to it at some point. It might be 2 years from now, but I will get to it at some point. So
I think that matches the intentions, even if it doesn't match the rules.
Yeah. It's about broadening how you read, and this will broaden how I read, even if it's not today.
All right, let's go.
So for January was Columbia?
Yeah.
I got The Armies by Avelio Rosero. This is about a man who comes home from a walk and his wife has disappeared and the army is approaching his hometown.
Sounds interesting.
Who else was in January?
Morocco.
So, The Bread Alone by Mohammed Shawkri. This is part 1 of a autobiographical series. And it sounds like a bit of a dark autobiography, so right up my street.
I didn't know you'd hold that because I had bookmarked the ebook on Scribd, so I don't need it anymore.
No, you don't. We've got it.
All right, Japan.
Japan, I hold Yoko Agawa, The Housekeeper and the Professor. And I've also borrowed Hotel Iris from Kat at Biblio Obscura. So I have, look at those covers. So cute.
Put a link to her channeling because you should be watching her channel.
Especially if you're following Invisible Cities. She's got some great suggestions. But her description of Hotel Iris made me want to read it immediately. So I've got both of those on my radar for Japan. And then I've got... this is for... What country is this for?
I have no idea. I didn't buy it. The name looks quite Argentinian, Mexican...
Argentina? Yes. Mariana Esquez. It's short stories, which I don't normally do. Things we lost in the fire. I didn't know a lot about Argentinian literature, so I googled stuff until I found something, and this interested me. I don't really remember why, but I hold it, so it's on the list.
Still a massive pile of books here.
Yeah, so these are books I bought because I wanted them.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sort of go through them as quickly as I can. The Grace Keepers by Kirsty Logan. I saw this recommended on Biblio Obscura again, and also on Jen's channel. This is queer fiction.
Jen the Librarian.
Jen the Librarian.
It's a good intersection.
Yeah, both of those people are recommending, then I am excited. I don't normally do this, but I did buy the entire trilogy of N.K. Jemisin's The Broken Earth trilogy. I bought it in this box set because it was cheaper. I hope I don't hate it.
Buying more than one book from authors that you have not
Never
read
tried.
from before. Yes.
Yeah. The Esteemed Sugar Bane by Douglas Stewart.
I've heard nothing but good things except for about page 112.
I'm excited to read this. We've got most of the Booker Prize shortlist in here in our house at this point from last year.
We got half of them.
So I will get to all of those at some point. I'm just a little bit behind.
Well, I loved Sugar Bane, and I think you will too.
Yeah, it sounds like right up my alley. This is a book that I've had the second part of sitting on my shelf for a number of years. Or the first part, but not the whole thing.
The second part?
Yeah, I've only had half of it. I'm pretty sure it's the second half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a second half of it.
Well, it was not in this.
I thought the sequel was A Suitable Girl and he wasn't writing it.
No. On my shelves, somewhere, before we did the big unhaul we did recently, there was a version of this book that was published in 2 separate volumes, but I only had one of the volumes. So I only had half of the book.
The monsters.
So I unhauled the half of a book that was kind of useless, and I have hauled A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth. I've read An Equal Music and loved it, so I'm hoping that's the same.
I'm very glad that you hauled that book, because that is a book that is high on my list of books to read. Although when it came, I definitely got intimidated by the size.
It was more than one book when it came, and I was...
Is that actually longer than like Les Mis and War and Peace? It looks it.
I don't know how many pages it is.
Yeah, let's just see. Oh, it's only 1,535 and it's like right up until the end. There's no like acknowledgements and publisher's notes and stuff.
Its font is not massive either. Like it is legitimately a massive.
So that makes it longer than Count of Monte Cristo, War and Peace, and Les Mis.
Just putting that out there.
So it better be good.
I hope it's good.
Come here, mate.
Although if it's not, I'm not finishing it.
Okay.
Yeah,
you wanna be well with DNFing when you pick up a book that long.
Patrick Gale, Take Nothing With You, another queer recommendation from, I'm pretty sure, Jen the Librarian. I basically think I binged a whole bunch of Jen's queer recommendation books before doing a little bit of a spending spree the other week. So, Quicksand
By Nelle Larson?
by Tanazaki.
Oh.
I think this is a Sean recommendation. But this is a Japanese novel. Boy Snowbird by Helen Oyeyemi. Women, Race and Class by Angela Davis.
Is that like a black feminist?
Yes.
Is that why you bought it? Is it non-fiction?
I believe it is non-fiction, yes. I'm not going to add that to the other pile because it's going to fall over at some point. An Orchestra of Minorities by Chigozie Obiyama, who is one of the judges for the Booker Prize this year.
Oh, that is on my, I have the audiobook for that.
Confessions of the Fox by Geordie Rosenberg, who is a trans author. And The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abby, I want to say Dare, but that accent scares me.
Dari?
Maybe. So that's my massive stack of books that I chose to haul, all of which come off my total.
Now, you had a little bit of we could call it a slip up, or maybe you wanted to call it an opportunity, but we went out and we donated a bunch of old books to little free libraries, and we decided to pillage them for books that we wanted as well.
Yes. Now, will we do those next?
Yeah, let's do them next.
Okay, I was just worried about you and the poocher.
The pooch.
Oh, who's just going to climb on all the books.
Just walk on the books, buddy. That's exactly what they are. They're not for your brain, they're for your feet. Yes. That's why I called you illiterate in our last.
Because he is illiterate. He's a pooch.
He's a pooch.
Do we know what my tally was up to?
At the start of this video. 42.
So I've got 42 books left to haul from people of colour and queer books. But I've now hauled The Silent Patient, which we got free from a little free library. So that's 44.
Because it's not a diverse book.
Because it's not a diverse book. So I have a 2-book penalty.
Also, somebody slated this book.
Also, Leanne.
I think it was Leanne at Literary Diversions.
And apparently, it's supremely fat-phobic. So this sounds like it's going to be the most poorly spent 2-point penalty in history.
Yeah.
Because I reckon that'll get DNF'd if it's anything like what Leanne said. The next 2-point penalty by Graham Simpson is The Rosie Project. So that gets me to 46.
Do you know anything about that book?
I know it was super popular a few years ago. That's really all. And The Girl from Munich also, it was in the same pile with a little award sticker on it, and I was clearly just taking penalties left, right and centre. So we're at 48.
You just didn't search. Well, I
didn't check any of these. We unhauled hundreds of books. I took home 3. So
No, there's more coming.
Oh, is there more coming?
I think when you talk about badly chosen penalties, while I understand the appeal of this author, I think this one...
Because it's not even the first in the series.
Yeah, you just saw Ursula Le Guin.
Yeah, I was just this is what happens when you're not conscious. All of a sudden you're just going crazy.
And last one.
This one I'm pleased that I picked up, regardless of the penalty. My Story by Julia Gillard. This is how I feel penalties, how it should be when I choose a white person. Julia Gillard, for anyone who's not Australian, was Australia's first female Prime Minister. And regardless of what you think about her politics, I am super interested in her point of view. Her famous call-out speech.
I will not be lectured by that man.
I will not be lectured by that man, and nor should anyone be, because he is a rodent.
And apparently he was our next Prime Minister.
Yeah, very unfortunate for our country. So I'm looking forward to reading My Story. This is a good example of a 2-book penalty.
I don't think it is. She was a homophobe.
That's very easy for you to say. Every prime minister we have is your gender.
Fair enough. It feels a bit like Jermaine Gurr. I've got the wrong one. Who's the very massive feminist icon who is now a massive turd?
Oh, look, a lot of them, because to be honest, old feminism rhetoric does not suit current gender politics, and people who can't change and grow don't change and grow.
Yeah. But I feel like that, you could have picked Sarah Palin's biography. She suffered a lot of sexism, and she was a horrible person.
But I'm not interested in reading the point of view of someone who suffered a lot of sexism. I'm a woman. I know what that's like. I'm interested in reading the story of our first female Prime Minister.
Okay.
And we've only had one, so...
Okay.
She's the only one who can write that book.
Yeah, fair enough. Sorry.
Yes. Man. So that is 2, 4. So that's 10. I've added 10. So I've gone from 42
to 52.
To 52 books.
While I was grabbing books left, right, and centre, I only grabbed 2 actually. Isabel Allende. Which one's this? In the Mist of Winter. I read an Isabel Allende last year. I enjoyed it. I'd like to read more from her. And she's also an author of colour. So,
good job.
Yeah.
Not that you're counting.
Not that I'm counting. Also, I would have paid a penalty for Soul Music by Terry Pratchett because, while I can grab it, I will. Mm-hmm. That's it now. We've got more books now.
So the last pile of books comes from...
Second last.
Oh. Okay.
That's okay, you go.
You can go next. You go next.
I hauled these 3 books while Nell has hauled these monster books. The Girl Who Smiled Beads by Clementine Wamuri. I saw this on Sadie Reads Again. Sarah at Sadie Reads Again. This is a Rwandan novel about the Hutsis and the Tutus, and I think it's a historical fiction set in there. It might be a memoir. I can't actually remember, but basically every now and then Sarah's like, this is a 5-star read, and that's when you should really listen. I usually find her 5 stars
to be exceptional.
Last one I picked up because of her was My Life as a Unicorn.
You loved that.
And I loved that, and then this one. So I've got high expectations for that.
It's always good to start with high expectations.
Yeah. Still Aside by Sinan Jones, Welsh author. This one was recommended on Kieran's channel, KD Books. This was about the commercialization of water, selling, getting rid of people's rights for water and making it a commodity. And it's a radio play. I didn't realise it was a radio play. I may have been less inclined to pick it up, but it look at the amount of text on each page. It's going to be a very quick read. But water as a commodity is something that a lot of people are talking about in a lot of horrible investment bankers who really need to be taught a lesson by Reddit.
Or really anyone, but while Reddit's at it.
Yeah, I mean, if Reddit's going to do good.
Yeah.
And I think writing a book on it would be really interesting. And I don't really understand what the effects of that will be, because it's just an idea at the moment. It's a horrible sounding idea, but I don't understand what the effects will be. So writing a novel that explores that will be interesting.
I also think dystopian concept is usually, especially if it's a quick read, it's a quick decision whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Often a shorter dystopian is a good idea, because if the world is the best thing, that is often all you have time for in a shorter book.
Yeah.
The last one is my most recent. It is Mother's Beloved Stories from Laos by Othaline Bonyabong. I will be starting this tonight. This is actually a buddy read with Roz at Skelly Dandling About the Books. This is one of the few countries that Roz, who, we try and read a book, we're this is a lifetime goal for us, trying to read a book from each country. Roz has been doing that and for longer than us and with much more success than us. It's one of the few countries she hasn't read a book from yet, Laos, and we're going to buddy read it together. And I'm going to start this tonight and first check in on Friday.
Ooh, I may or may not join that buddy read as it goes, but I will definitely read that at some point.
Yeah, this was meant to be a buddy read in March, but I sent Roz a message look what I got in the mail, and Roz was like, I got it yesterday, should we start? And
everyone's excited. And Nell's reading 8 books already, so
yeah.
Fine.
Okay, so the next section of books that I have to talk about before we do a quick tally on my
thing are books we got in book subscriptions. So this book came from a book subscription that I've actually now suspended. I accidentally signed up for 2 at the same time.
So you picked the better one.
I definitely picked a better value one. So this one was 1 new book a month, and the other one that I'm continuing with is 3 secondhand books a month, and the price was very similar. So I have suspended this one for the time being. But the last book that they sent me was The Push by Ashley Audrain, which I am starting now to see everywhere. So I feel like this one is a little bit ahead of Booktube. The books that they sent me before, once I received them about 2 or 3 weeks later, I saw them starting to appear on Booktube.
Is that one of those ones like, I've never seen a woman wearing a maroon jumper and suddenly women are wearing maroon jumpers?
Maybe like a little bit of confirmation bias, like now I've seen it, I've noticed it, but definitely this has appeared more, I've noticed it more anyway. But I don't know anything about this, so it's on my shelf now. I'm pretty sure I have to take a penalty, but I might just hand it to you and get you to double check for me. The other book subscription that I get sends me little boxes, little curated groups of 3, and they each come with a little note explaining what on our profile has allowed them to select this book for us. And I filled out the profile so that Scott and I will hopefully both enjoy a lot of these books. So the first one for not this month but last month was The Reluctant Fundamentalist, which is about a conversation that occurs between 2 strangers in a cafe in Lahore.
That sounds interesting.
Yes.
I think you do have to take a penalty
for that one.
But clearly an author of colour by the sound of the name, because that's definitely how we judge these things.
This one I do not have to take a penalty for. The next one is The Sharknet, which is part memoir, part true crime. It's an Australian novel. I do have to take a penalty for this one. But age 6, Robert Drew moved with his family from Melbourne to Perth. Then a man he knew murdered a boy he also knew. So.
Yuck.
But interesting. So I'm excited about this one, but penalty. And The Glass Hotel, which was, Scott did not purchase this on his, out of his Trash My TBR challenge, but it appeared in our book box, so I was quite excited about that.
The universe wanted us to own it. It also wanted Nelle to take a penalty for it.
It also wanted me to take a penalty for it. But I've got to say, like, the quality of these used books is ridiculous. Like, some of them are so close to perfect.
We'll go and give them a plug. Who's the subscription box?
They're called Wild Book Box, I think.
Wild Book Box?
Yeah. And it's $35 a month for 3 used books. And I've been excited about every one of them. So then this month, and sometimes they send you a cute little bookmark like this one. How cute is that?
Oh, I didn't know. These were this month's books.
Yeah, these are this month's books. They arrived today.
Oh.
So The North Water by Ian Maguire. A ship set sail with a killer on board. I mean, do you want to look? Given that you haven't.
Hilary Mantel, A Tour de Force. Colm Tobin. Riveting and Darkly Brilliant. That's 2 pretty decent authors to
recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah, although, I don't know, are they like some authors just Stephen King?
Stephen King is on every... I imagine if he reads like he writes, so he must read a lot of books.
Also, I teach someone Rushdie a lot. King and Rushdie there. Like, here, have a quote.
Comment for sale.
That's it. That's it. I'm always paid for my writing. It's best if it can be one line.
So, Mornings in Jenin, which is set in Palestine. And it's about the Palestine-Israel conflict. So,
Nice.
interesting, and also no penalty. Dave Eggers, who is also, I've got another novel of Dave Eggers on my TBR. This one's called Zaytun, and it's set during Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. So I'm interested in that, but I think we need to check that to see if that's a penalty or not, because he may be a person of colour. So that's 2 more penalties on my penalty train. So
you're down to 37.
So I'm down to 37, plus I have to go through my audiobooks.
So these audiobooks you've already listened to because you just haul and listen.
Yes, this is not. I'm not creating like a little pile. I'm just as I've listened to them.
So the first one is Chanel Miller, Know My Name.
Yes, and so she's a person of colour. And I've got Overground Railroad, The Green Book, and The Roots of Black Travel by Candace Taylor.
35.
I've got In an Absent Dream, Beneath the Sugar Sky, and Down Among the Sticks and Bones, all by Seanan Maguire. So that brings me down to 32. And Over the Top, My Story by Jonathan Van Ness. So I'm down to 31 books to go.
Yeah. And all of those books you've already read, and if you want to find out about those books, I think we'll have a wrap up on the weekend. I think that's probably when...
Yeah, and
when
we'll talk
have that
about
up.
my thoughts about my audio and my physical reading, and all of yours too, for the month of January.
It's a long wrap.
It's going to be a long one.
Sorry, but not sorry. If you've read any of these books, and realistically there's a lot of them to pick from, let us know what you think. What books should we be prioritising?
Which of my penalty books was the biggest mistake? I want to know that.
Yeah.
Because there's a few in there that I regret. But I do feel like it's really taught me something to take those penalties. It's actually been a learning exercise as part of this representative project. How easy it is to...
Well, because there's 2 slip-ups. There's the mini library where you would just like, free books! Yes!
And then there's allowing someone else to choose for me in the curated book selection, which I'm going to continue with, but it means that I have to be very strict with my own purchases.
Maybe you should pause that until
I've done my last 31 books.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, maybe I should just pause it because we've got a shit ton of books to read.
Yeah.
But it's so fun to get new books.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know if you've read any of these. Let us know what you think. If you've made it to the end of this long video, congratulations. This is what happens when you don't post book hauls for 3 months and you have to do them all at once.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Bye.
I enjoyed it. Bye.